Now, the FA Cup semi-finals was played this weekend. Crystal Palace played Aston Villa, and Nottingham Forest played Manchester City. Now, for the Crystal Palace versus Aston Villa game, I was a bit surprised with the outcome because Aston Villa were actually on top form. They were actually in a very top form. They had been winning games. I mean, they made a lot of additions. They made a lot of transfers in the January transfer window, and this had helped them. I mean, there was a time where we all felt like Aston Villa, they were going or they were contending for Champions League qualification spots. But all of a sudden, you are swallowing 3 goals against Crystal Palace. That is poor. And now, it is no, I'm not trying to water down the performance of Crystal Palace. No, Crystal Palace actually played very well. Well deserved. They deserve to win that game, that 3-0. I am just saying that Aston Villa could have done better. And I think the statistics were actually in the favor of Aston Villa because Aston Villa had a lot of shots and all that, but they were half chances. They were just half chances, shots from outside the box, shots that were blocked, rebound, and all that. And that was not enough. It was simply not enough to actually get the better of Crystal Palace. And Crystal Palace ended the game 3-0. Crystal Palace won the game 3-0, and now Crystal Palace are in the finals of the FA Cup. Now, on the other leg, on the other semi-final, Nottingham Forest versus Manchester City. Now, Nottingham Forest, they've actually been on a very bad form because if we want to be honest, Nottingham Forest actually started the season very well. They were in a very top form. But as with everything that goes up, you must come down. And right now, it seems like Nottingham Forest, it is their turn to come down. Because how do you explain them swallowing 2 goals at home against Manchester City? Manchester City. Against Manchester City, like it was surprising. 2-0. Man, that's bad. That's bad. And it just shows that what I've been saying, that Chelsea can actually finish in that top 5 spot ahead of Nottingham Forest. You know, I've been saying this for a while. But Chelsea can finish in that top 5 spot ahead of Nottingham Forest because right now Nottingham Forest are in poor form. I mean, early in around February, around January, February, Nottingham Forest will beat Manchester City. Nottingham Forest will beat Manchester City comfortably and go to the FA Cup final. Go to the FA Cup final. But now they failed to. Manchester City won the game. Now, Manchester City, they are in the final. It is going to be Crystal Palace versus Manchester City in the FA Cup final. And I believe Manchester City are going to win that game. So even though we have been saying that Manchester City had a bad season, Pep Guardiola had a bad season, he's still going to end the season with a title, the FA Cup title. So even though Manchester City has a bad season, they have a higher probability of winning a title ahead of Arsenal. Arsenal fans, think of that.